Ooh. Tune in.
This is after hours anyways.
After hours, Fireside. We're taking song requests too. You just tell me what you wanna hear, and I'll play it for you on this Fireside chat.
Wow.
Dang. Where else are you gonna get moments like that, yo?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Turn it down a little bit.
So if you are watching this right now or you are watching replay, welcome. This is Fireside Chat with Mimi Jain, and today we have Abhinav Jain with me. And why we decided to go live after hours, maybe you have been working from home a lot and you didn't have time to socialize. This is a time where you can join us, ask the questions, listen to some chill music in the background, and just chit chat and network with other people.
Let's get to the fun stuff while we're here to answer questions. So our first question that we're going to put up that was asked, so I'm going to read it out to you guys and you guys can check it out on the screen. You can pause it if you need to. So I just recently started a podcast and I'm having trouble starting it due to doubts and fears. Okay, we all definitely can relate to that, right? About some unnecessary anxiety. For my first episode, I would like to interview or have a conversation with a stranger. We're strangers to you, potentially, right, questioner? About these things. So would anybody be interested? Yes, we're definitely interested in giving you our perspective on, starting your podcast. And I understand you have doubts and fears about it. So the best thing I can tell you is you should just start and do one episode, and then you can just stop right after that if you don't feel like doing it another one, because that will take out so much of the anxiety of like, oh my God, what if I do an episode and I like put all this work in and it doesn't go well? The honest truth is your podcast most likely will not do well right out of the gate, no matter how good you think you are. Just my experience, there's a lot of saturation right now in the market, but also it should not deter you from getting into the space of podcasting, because a lot of people are looking at the short-term returns on having a podcast. And I really don't look at them that way. I think of this as no different than having like a library of your work, and this could be going on for the rest of your life. I mean, what do you plan to just stop talking? If you're going to be in the business of talking, it's something you're going to do for the rest of your life. So take about your podcast journey with the long term in mind. You can start and stop as you need to go. You definitely want to try to be consistent if you're trying to get a listenership or build some sort of community around it, because people will expect it. But I would just say start and make one episode, and then you can stop and then reassess. That's kind of my thought. What do you think?
Well, I think let's just give the person who asked this question kudos that by asking this question, they're actually looking for someone to be on their podcast. It's just a very clever way of putting the question in.
I didn't get that. I think it says for my first episode. Oh, I see.
Yeah, like would anyone be interested to talk?
Oh, I thought they were interested in talking to somebody just about this. My bad.
Well, I interpreted it the way that they
want
to invite someone, which is really smart. The second thing is doubts, fear, unnecessary anxiety. It gonna come because you don't know what it's the future after you record the first podcast. So if you're gonna decide to do something unknown, just know that those things are normal and they will happen. Every time you do and learn something new, there's always fear around it. So I would say just learn to not putting so much pressure and attention to it. Like, don't give it that much attention. Like, oh my God, I have this fear. Like, okay, write it down. Like, I have this fear, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And that's what make great people great, is because they always have fear and doubts, but they do it anyways. Right? So that's my first take on that. And from the business standpoint, as a business consultant, I like to look at it in the way of like more holistic. Like, okay, what is your why behind starting a podcast? Are you doing it because it's a way of you showing your art? Is it your artwork? Is it your passion project? Or you're doing it because you want to make money? Because depending on your reasoning, it will determine your path, right? If you're just doing it as a love project and as a hobby, then that's what it should be. You should not be worrying about listenership or is it sound bad, because you're going to improve. You don't have to worry about nobody's going to listen or people not gonna hate it because you do it out of place to love, or like love that project. If you are someone who's trying to build a business around it, like a business coach or something, then just know that your podcast is for nurturing your audience. It's not for really directly selling. It's more of giving the free tools and knowledge to people. So it's more about nurturing the audience, meaning that you should already have an audience that you want to nurture. You cannot just think of podcasts as a, like, okay, I want to start a profitable business, I'm gonna start the podcast. Like, that's a really different way of doing podcast. So now if you are starting a podcast that you want to monetize, then you probably should start it by figuring out who is going to sponsor your podcast. Find the sponsors first and then do the podcast. So I think the reasoning behind starting a podcast is very important. It will determine what direction you want to go to. And once you know, you have more clarity, it will take away all the unknown, or
which
at
means
least
all the doubts and the fears.
Exactly. So you will have less doubts and fear.
And unnecessary anxiety, just
exactly.
like you asked about. So yeah, I would agree. I think the only last piece to add is, I think a lot of people, including myself initially, were caught up on like the equipment piece and what you need to get going, you know, because everyone sees like, you know, really nice fancy mics and all like we've got going on now. But you have to realize, you know, we didn't start with this stuff. So it took us a while to get to where we are. The important part is that, you know, based on your budget and what you're comfortable with, you can certainly start with, you know, $100 maybe, you know, like you can start with your phone if you really don't have anything else to start with. There are options, but you can also start with a nice mic for about $100, you know, and get yourself out there. And as you continue to do it and you feel like you want to do it more, and if you think the equipment's going to help you to do better, then certainly, you know, it's worth the investment. If you need any help at all, you know, you can contact me or Mimi. You know, either one of us can help you out with your journey here. So we hope this question helps, or the answer that we provided to this question helps.
Yeah, and I also want to tie it into like publishing online. It's always scary. Like, even for me personally doing this live, it's scary of itself. And I've already mentioned that I barely can put words together, and it might, you know, I might think before I starting it, like, I'm gonna make fool of myself. But the truth is, if I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna learn, I'm not gonna improve. So I decided to put myself in a position of being super uncomfortable and doing something that I don't like. But I do know that there is a bigger why behind it. Is because I want to talk about my brand. I want to talk about what I do and get more people involved, you know, like in my network, and connect more people. So that's more important to me than me making fool of myself. And hopefully by doing it more, I'll be improving.
Yes, and I was just calling you out just to kind of clear the air, because sometimes when we know we're messing up, it's better that we just admit that, okay, we're messing up, but I'm going to just keep going.
He's coaching me right here on live.
You guys
stream.
saw the real deal anyway. So do we have anything else on that question?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next question, folks. And here is our next question coming in hot. I was dreaming of a podcast idea and was about to pursue it. Okay. But found out that someone else has done it. Should I still do it? Well,
yes.
The short answer, I think, is still yes. I would agree. I think definitely you should do it, because you really never know if the way you do it is going to be, you know, well, actually what I'm trying to say is the way you do it is still going to be unique to how you end up doing it, because it's your voice, it's your take, it's your, you know, personality. So just because someone else has an idea and they've shared that with you, that doesn't mean the execution necessarily of the idea is going to be the same. That's why you see a lot of companies going after making the same type of product, and they all differentiate from one another, right? Because some of them do some things better than others. So I think regardless of that, though, you will be unique, because it's you and it's your you know, thoughts and ideas. So definitely I would still recommend going for it.
Yeah, and I will throw another perspective into it too. If you found out that someone else already has done it, you actually should celebrate that. Is because you have done a market research and you realize that the topic or the idea that you have has actually was interested by somebody else, meaning you have the market share of people that is interested in it. Because why beat yourself up trying to reinvent something that is already like reinvent something completely new. If you can just take what is already working, put your own tweak on it, find your voice through the process, and make it uniquely the way that you are. So and you only the person who can do it. And I think that's the part that I love the most when I get to work with new podcasters or help them to launch their podcast, is to help them to find their voice. Because it's a journey where you start out and you don't really know what you're doing. You kind of have
run
an
out of
idea.
ideas,
Yeah, and through that persevering, like, okay, I need to be consistent, I need to keep posting, what do I do next, you figuring out yourself too. And eventually you people that listen to you will get to know you, and that's where you will have fans that will support you.
Yes, because they've seen the journey of your evolution. I think that is the key to focus on, and we always forget it somehow, and we
feel like we have to be perfect.
Yeah, which is fine, but just be mindful of this, because we've definitely experienced this ourselves, so we just want to share our perspective. So anyway, that's the last on this question here about dreaming for doing a podcast that someone's already done. We definitely think you should go for it.
Yes.
And reach out to us if you need any help. What do you say? Next one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're rapid fire today. How do you become a podcaster, and what do you need to start? Okay, so this is a similar question to kind of what we've already been talking about. How do you become a podcaster? Well, you just do it, and that's how you become one. So maybe have a little more formulated question if you have some specific things you want to know about it. And what do you need to start? Well, as I was saying, you can really just do it on your phone. There's a voice recording app. You can get some plug-in microphones for that if you have just a very little budget and you just want to taste it out, because it's not that hard to publish. You can use a website like a transistor.fm or anchor.fm, one of those websites, and you can easily publish your audio file, and you can have it on like something like Spotify, Audible, iTunes, all over the place. So easy to do. So definitely, that's all you really need to do to get started. Now, if you're up for it, you need a real good idea for setting up, you can come and contact us. We can definitely help you and give you suggestions. Depending on your budget, there's no limit to it. You can get a $50, $100 mic. You can get thousands of dollars worth of mics. They really don't make you any better at speaking per se, right? So at the end of the day, you're gonna have to work on your craft. And that's really what you should spend time focusing on. That's how you become a podcaster, in my perspective.
Yeah, and this is the cool part that I think I already mentioned so many times in my podcast or previous talks about this subject, is that we love podcasting space is because it's a low barrier of entry and anyone can do it, right? Like if you have something to record your voice on and you have internet, you can publish yourself across so many platforms by just using your RSS feed.
Which you don't even have to mess with these days. All these websites, they've like what used to be difficult has been taken away. So the barrier of entry is only easier every year that we progress. So there's no better time to start doing your podcast than right now. And there's no better time for you to get help than right now. Blossom Media Studio got your back.
And also too, I want to mention that you have to, if you want to start it, you can always start. You can do it on your own. But if you are doing it for the sake of, longevity, then to become a real podcaster, I feel like you have to record at least one season of the podcast and live through like at least 10 episodes, learning through all the adversities of if you're interviewing someone and they don't show up, or recording a file that you thought it was really good podcast and it wasn't recorded.
There's a lot of things
right?
like that.
So just living through those adversities, at least for a season, makes you a podcaster.
Yeah.
And if you still decide to do after that, then you're gonna become like more of a person who is more seasoned in the space.
That's a good point, because we've seen this in ourselves and we've seen it in other people that we've helped. This also helps answer continuing that last question we had too, where if you start doing the podcast, you will realize that you had an intention for it to do this, but as you start talking to people, as you start doing it more and more, you might start to sway away from it for a time and maybe come back to that same intention again, or you might do something completely entirely different, but you won't know that, right, until you do enough times to see if you like it.
Right. So everyone can become a podcaster.
Yes.
It just matter of do you want to become a hobbyist podcaster, or do you want to become a seasoned podcaster, or do you just want to record 1 season or 2 season and keep it as, you know, something that your art project that you have done and accomplishment that you have had? That's fine too. So it just, the word podcaster, you know, like you have to differentiate, like, okay, maybe I'm a hobbyist podcaster. That's fine too.
Yes, I agree. I think that's all I have to say about that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our last question for today. And after that, you guys, if you have questions, send them to us. We would love to help you out.
Yeah, like you can write your questions in the comment section, or if you don't feel like putting yourself out there, you can go ahead and send me a direct message. Next time though, we will make sure that we have a computer with the stream on, so in case somebody's asking question now and we don't see it, I'm really sorry.
We can integrate that here too. We just didn't. This was the first attempt.
This was first attempt,
and
LinkedIn. I am putting myself in a very uncomfortable place to show importance of doing things and not thinking or having anxiety or worry. Like, just do it and let's see what it's turned into, you know.
On that note, let's get to our last question for the day, and the question comes from Scott. And it's an older question, but that's okay. How do podcasts generate money?
Yeah, this is the question that people always want to know.
It's the $1 million question, right? How do I make money in the podcasting space? Okay. Great question. Still relevant till today, and it will continue to be relevant in perpetuity. Because,
and we get people asking this question.
Yeah.
All the time.
I want to do a podcast. I want to be next Joe Rogan. I want to make all that money. It's like, all right, dude, go do your like 2,000 episodes first, and you know, let's talk.
Right.
I think I've been guilty of that. That's probably why I bring it up, right? Because I'm very ambitious. I've been if you guys don't remember, right, like been a bodybuilder. Did a little soft today. You know, I did arms earlier. I'm a little tired. A little tired, but anyway.
Okay, way to show off.
Yeah, so you know, it can get ambitious that you want to just go out there, kill it, and do a great job, and you're gonna have sponsorship. You're gonna have people come into your door. You're gonna have the best guests ever. All that's great. And it's good to desire, but you have to realize that that's so much work, and most people are not really up for it. And so you really need to first just start, do your first episode, do your first season, figure out what kind of conversations you like having, what you don't like having. And then, you know, the money part will really make more sense in that direction. Once you really start to hone in on, hey, I really know what I want to do. I know what I want to talk about. I'm an expert in this field. I think I can talk about this for days. If you already have that level of awareness, then it's probably worth you looking at people in that industry that do advertising of different kinds and just, you know, create some sort of outreach to them, whether it's direct messaging or whether it's, you know, picking up the phone, whatever it is that you can do, and figuring out if they'll be willing to participate in, like, hey, I'll mention that, you know, your service or your name as a sponsor of this episode. I'm going to be targeting only people that are interested in this topic, think it relates to your industry. What do you say? Would you be interested in, you know, advertising on our podcast? You know, and that's a good way to start. Of course, if you're a little bit more developed than that, you can always go after, if you're doing something that has to do with products or services or technology, a lot of those places have affiliates or have some sort of, you know, mention us and you get a per click or per purchase, what is it called? Referral fee or referral bonus, right? So those are things out there. There's all kinds of new investments coming into Spotify's platform for advertising on podcasts. So there's a lot more that's still growing just in 2021 this year itself. So more to come there. But traditionally, people were doing pre-recorded ads or some sort of like, you know, pre-recorded script really even, and they would just place it at different parts of your podcast. So there's many ways to make money. You can also just charge people if you're really that good to be on your show. I mean, that's a great way to make money. You could do something like what we've done. You know?
So how do podcasts generate money? Like the big podcasts, they generate money mostly by ads revenue, affiliate links, and sponsorship.
Yeah.
But for the newer podcaster who are just starting out and start seeing a little bit of traction, they also, besides of those 3 ways, they also get support from their fans. Like, you know, maybe 100 listeners that really enjoy that show or they get value out of it, they would support by, you know, donating certain amount of money or paying a membership fee for a exclusive podcast only. So like you can use websites like Patreon or even YouTube have membership, and just basically build up on the membership. I think that's more feasible for smaller scale podcast. Also, you can sell merch, your own merch for podcast, because if you have fans and people like your podcast, they will buy a cup
Shirts,
with
hats, cups,
hats,
whatever.
yes.
I mean, look at Canva. You can design something and sell it.
Right. And then also you can sell courses, online courses, or any product that you're already having. And that's a lot of for online entrepreneurs, a lot of coaches and online entrepreneurs, they have podcasts to actually generate sales on their main offer. Like either that's a coaching program or that's the course that they're selling. That's where they use podcasts to actually lead gen back to their main, like thing that they sell. They don't really sell anything besides that. And you also can do sponsorship posts, or like kind of like how influencers on Instagram get paid to mention something. You can do the same too. You just have to become really big to get people reach out to you. But smaller podcasts, what they can do is they actually can create a media kit and go and pitch themselves to the companies that they want to represent. So there's a lot of ways how you can do it. I think it's important to kind of wrap this all up. It's know your intention. If you started with intention of doing the art project, don't get so caught up with money, right? Because then it will kill your passion, kill your joy, and you're going to become sad and you're going to hate this project.
So true.
If you do it to generate money, then that should be your main focus. And maybe you should look for sponsors and ways of generating income even before you're starting a podcast. Because if it was the intention and then you're going to buy all the equipment and you're not going to make money, you're going to hate it and you're going to feel like a failure. So it's really about intention and focusing from the beginning, of what you want to do.
That's right. And if you need help at all, figuring out the monetization side, you can contact Mimi if you need any help around setting up your podcast and how to launch it, strategies around recording schedules and things like that. You can contact me, and we'd both love to help you guys to make yourself visible online in a way that's sustainable, meaningful, exciting, and something that you can enjoy the process of doing. So with that said, I think I'm ready to go take a walk.
Yeah, let's go catch some sunset.
All right, everyone.
Thank you for being with us today. If you watched till the end, thank you so much. If you know someone that would be interested in it or want to be on the Fireside chat, tag them below or send or share this message with them. And I would love to see you or your friend on Fireside chat on Thursdays.
Yes. All right, now we're signing off.